It's kind of like the guy in the circus that you've seen him before with the plates on the end of the stick. Have you ever seen this where he gets the plates and he starts spinning? What he does, he moves that stick and he gets those plates spinning, and he gets that plate spinning real fast. He puts it in the hole, and he gets to the next one, and he gets that plate spinning, and he puts it in the hole, and he does that one, and he goes all the way down, and he gets clear down the other end. Now he's got 10 plates spinning. It's wonderful, but by the time he gets down here, the plate on the far end is just about to fall off, and he goes back over there, and he gets that one going, and that one going, and that one going. He just moves back and forth, and after a while you say, that could wear you out. And a lot of leaders, their tongue is dragging. Why? Very simple. Because they've never taught anyone else to spin the plates. And the only thing that gets done is what they touch and what they lead. But when I think of a leader, what do leaders do? They lead. The letter E in the word leader, though, gives me another picture of a leader. Because when I think of a leader, I think of the word equipper. Leaders equip and train people. And one of my favorite equipping quotes is the one by Harvey Firestone, who said, "It is only as we develop others that we permanently succeed." So let me give you the game plan if you want to be a leader that equips people. Number one, develop self. The first person that you learn to work with is not someone else, but you learn to work with yourself. Does that make sense? So you begin to grow and develop yourself. Number two, lead self. You not only develop yourself, but you got to learn to lead yourself. And let me just flat out stop here for a moment and think of it this way. If you wouldn't follow yourself, why should anyone else? And yet I know all kind of people who have never developed themselves, never led themselves, but you know what they want to do? They want to lead everybody else. So you develop yourself, you lead yourself, then thirdly, you develop others. Now you have the right, because you have disciplined and developed yourself, to develop others. And number four, you lead others. But that's not the end of how an equipper thinks. Number five, you lead others to develop others. And number six, you lead others to lead others. That's when leadership begins to be effective. That's when leadership begins to multiply. When you begin to lead others to lead others. Now, when I start talking about the fact that leaders lead and leaders equip people, what I want you to understand about this is that equipping people is not easy. If it was easy, more people would do it, okay? So first of all, understand, this is difficult. But I love the story about, in fact, it was a friend of mine who I went to college with, and his name was Stuart. And he studied for the ministry, and he was a pastor for a while, and then he quit the ministry, and he became a funeral director. And I said, "Stuart, why did you kind of leave the ministry and become a funeral director?" He said, "Well, John," he said, "ministry's hard work." Well, I said, "I know it's hard work." He said, "For example, when I was a pastor, Joe had an alcohol problem, and I worked with him and counseled him in the whole process." And he said, "Joe still has an alcohol problem." And then there was Harry and Sue. They had a marriage problem, and I counseled with them for a year and a half. They still got divorced. He said, "John, the thing I like about my new job is when I straighten them out now, they stay straight." Now, there's this mindset that as a leader, we'll just get in there and we'll put these people in place, and we just go, "Okay, you're a leader, all right, and then you're a leader. You stay there, right there. And you're a leader, and we go and we think that, okay, now stay in place." But people don't work that way, do they? They move away. They change thoughts and ideas. They change jobs, they change organizations. And when you get to equipping people, it's never a static position. In fact, I was known as an equipping leader, and many times as I travel around the country, people say, "Well, do you have everybody in your organization equipped?" No. You never get everybody equipped. It is a never-ending process. But that's the game plan. Now, let me give you just 5 quick thoughts that will help you when you are wanting to equip people. Let's take the word equip for a moment. The letter E stands for evaluate. Evaluate the people that you have around you. And you ask yourself the question that's on the right-hand side of your notes. How well can they do? And from a 1 to a 10. In other words, if I look at you and I'm getting ready to train you, I got to ask, okay, what's your potential? And this is kind of a guess in the beginning, perhaps, but I'll put a number on you. I think they're potentially a 7, whatever, okay. The letter Q in the word equip. You have to qualify them. You have to then put them in the job. And you got to look at them and you got to ask yourself very simply, how well did they do? Now, this is a lot easier. This is a lot easier to identify than the first one, and that is how well can they do. That's a little bit intangible. But after they do the job, you look back and say, okay, how well did they do? The letter U stands for unite with them. You not only evaluate them and qualify them, but then you unite with them and you say, okay, how well are we doing together? In other words, are we creating synergy? Are we multiplying ourselves? And then the letter I in the word equip, you've got to invest time with them. In other words, the time that I'm spending with the person that I'm equipping and training, is it profitable? Is this a good profitable time? And then the letter P, you've got to provide resources and experiences for them. Resources and experiences. Absolutely essential. Let's go to the letter A. Because when I think of a leader, I think of the word attitude. That is so huge. Because your attitude will determine your altitude. And if you look on the next page, I have a marvelous, marvelous thought by Charles Swindoll, a good friend of mine. And then at the bottom of the page, and I'm not going to read them right now. You can do this on your own. I talked to you about what is an attitude from my book, The Winning Attitude. And at the top of page 25, I talk about how our attitudes determine our capacity to lead others. And there are 20 questions of which I want you on your own to ask yourself. But if you'll allow me, I'm taking you now to the bottom of the page. Because the attitude that you have, or the attitude that I have, determines how we see 4 things. Are you ready? My attitude determines how I see myself. Because it is true. I cannot go any higher than my self-image. Always remember this. You can never rise higher than how you see yourself. What happens is if you have success above your self-image that is low will cause you to sabotage your success. You will literally pull down the thing that you are successful in to match your self-image. People do not become successful way beyond how they see themselves. So my attitude to myself is very important. My attitude determines how I see others. And notice this phrase. I cannot go any higher than my belief in people. Isn't that true? In fact, I love the quote that says, it's wonderful when the people believe in the leader, but it's even more wonderful when the leader believes in the people. My attitude, thirdly, determines how I see my business. Because I cannot go any higher than my dream for my career. And number 4, my attitude determines how I see my failures. Because I could not go any higher than my willingness to get back up. Isn't that true? In fact, let me just talk to you a little bit about failure and what it does to us. Because failure has a huge influence on our life. In fact, I wrote a book on failure recently called Failing Forward. And basically the book teaches you how to fail successfully, okay? Okay. But let me just take a poll here today in this conference. How many of you have failed at least one time? Today. Huh? Sure. Okay. With me, failure is a spiritual gift. Okay. Okay. See, the question is not, are you going to fail? The question is, how are you going to handle failure? That's why in your notes, I have the thesis of the book, Failing Forward. Here it is. The major difference, do you see it, between achieving people and average people? Is their perception of and response to failure. And that's an absolute fact in your life. How you see failure going in, how you respond to failure going out, is going to determine how you handle failure. Now let's just talk about it just for a moment. Now we all fail. I fail, you fail. See, what I have come to the conclusion is we need to have somebody write a book, which I did, or have a course on what I call Failure 101. I mean, when kids go to college, you know what? When kids go to college, the first course they ought to have is they ought to sit there and the prof ought to say, welcome to Failure 101 course. And we're going to teach you how to fail, because all of your life, you're going to fall down. The question is not, are you going to fail? The question is not, are you going to fall down? Isn't that true? The question is what you're going to do about it when you get, in fact, in the book, Failing Forward, one of the things I teach you 15 things of how to fail correctly, but one of the things I teach you is that when you fall down, when you're on the floor, while you're down there, you might as well pick something up. Hey, you don't get down there all the time. Clean the floor while you're down there, huh? See, what happens is when we fail, what do? As soon as we're down on the floor, what do? We try to get up as fast as we can. We get up real quick, we get up off the floor and we, button our belt. And say, well, hope nobody noticed me. And the whole, everybody in the room says, boy, did you see Maxwell fall flat on his face right there? You see, our embarrassment of the failure cause us to get up too quickly, and we never learn what we're supposed to learn. And you know what life does, don't you? Life just comes along and knocks us back down. In fact, life will knock you down until you learn. And so many of us have never learned how to handle failure. Now, here's what I'm saying to you. When I look at leaders, they have an attitude tenacity that allows them to keep getting up, because leaders get knocked down a lot. In fact, I had one friend who said, I'm never down. I said, what do you mean you're never down? He said, I'm either up or getting up. And that's what I'm talking about. This ability to have this attitude tenacity that will allow you to just keep getting up. And that's why I love so much the paradoxical commandments of leadership. Because this deals with our attitude better than anything else. This just kind of helps us understand that if we're going to lead, we're going to have this attitude tenacity. Look at it with me, would you? Look at these commandments of leadership. People are illogical, unreasonable, and self-centered. Love them anyway. If you do good, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Do good anyway. If you're successful, you will win false friends and true enemies. Succeed anyway. The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Honesty and frankness make you vulnerable. Be honest and frank anyway. The biggest men with the biggest ideas can be shot down by the smallest men with the smallest minds. Think big anyway. People favor underdogs but follow only top dogs. Fight for the few underdogs anyway. What you spend years building may be destroyed overnight. Build anyway. People really need help, but many attack you if you do help them. Help them anyway. Give the world the best you have, and you'll get kicked in the teeth. Give the world the best you have anyway. Does that make sense? And only a good attitude lets the leader get back up on top.